Warning, the Stone Age Gamer includes a lot of bad language. Cover your mother ears.
Good evening and welcome to the Stone Age Gamer Podcast. I am Chris Randazzo and joining me tonight is Reluctant Octopus Warrior Dan Ryan.
I mean, reluctant is a bit strong. Hesitant, maybe. But, I definitely wanted to spit on someone.
It's our 350th episode, but because I'm bad at scheduling, we won't be celebrating it till next week. Tonight, instead, we're interviewing the creator of Save Me, Mr. Tako. Find yourself a new publisher because the Stone Age Gamer Podcast starts now.
That's really good. Well done.
Hi, everybody. It is episode 350 of the Stone Age Gamer Podcast. It is the week of March 19th, 2021. How y'all doing?
They can't answer, Chris.
Son of a bitch.
This isn't a live show. I was thinking, right, this is a weird idea. And I'm going to pitch it to you here on the air right now. We're not even on the air. But I was thinking maybe in July, right? Like the second, third week of July, we'll take a week where we'll just do a live show for an hour a day. Just a week. And stream it to where listeners can talk, like a radio show.
Oh, like a pot? I thought you meant like a live show, like Taming Lions or something.
Oh, well, that too, obviously. This is a fucking live sex show right on the air. No, like a live radio show.
Because I've got a face for radio. So.
I mean, I always wanted to be, I was a DJ in fucking college, which was great, but I just, it's a dead medium, I know, but I love radio. I love talk radio. So, I don't know. Just a thought. Would anybody be into that? Email us at geekade.com.
We tried doing this show live a while back. That was years ago, though. I wonder if we could wonder if we could do anything like that, recording this live and see if anybody would tune in and talk to us or anything.
Yeah, is there a time where we could get more people to listen? I don't know. I don't know.
What are you doing on Monday nights at 8:30, huh?
That's right.
It's the hot time.
Hot time, summer in the city. Tune into the Stone Age Gamer. I don't know, maybe we do a Twitch stream where we play some games or something. I don't fucking know. You guys bought me a PlayStation. I'm trying to be more interactive. I'm trying to give back, Chris.
Well, what have you been playing, huh?
Oh man, I have been
son of a bitch. Bubsy Paws on Fire for Switch is going up in value. Damn it.
Oh, okay. Did you just
I got notified from Amazon that it is increased from $34 to $39.22. I don't want to spend that much money on this game.
You're going to have to. Get it now before it's $600.
I was sure this thing was just going to tank like the PS4 version did. I got the PS4 version for $12.
But
the hell?
You know how this works. Stupid shit is worth money. I don't get it. I don't I was on Facebook today and somebody was trying to sell their Django Unchained action figures. They were just basic NECA sculpted action figures. And they were asking $150 a piece for fucking Jamie Foxx and Christoph Waltz. And I was like, what? In what world are those $150 a piece?
Geez, it's going up. Somebody's asking for one for $60 on eBay, $45.
It's scalpers, dude.
Fucking Bubsy.
So check this shit out. We have had to, I'm so mad about this. We have had to start screening much more thoroughly the applications we get for the rescue dogs. Because we've now caught a couple of people trying to adopt a dog from No More Tears and then turn around and sell that dog as a designer puppy.
Oh, that's not cool.
Like, the flippers and the scalpers have gotten to the point where, and it's not just us, like, it's happening to a ton of the rescues that we know and work with, too, of, like, they're like, we're getting these applications from these weird places, and, like, we adopt to, like, New Jersey. Like, that's about our area. But we're starting to get applications from, like, Connecticut and Rhode Island and stuff where they're just putting out a blanket search and they're just trying to adopt a bunch of dogs, and they're doing, like, they're doing pre-sales on their own websites of dogs that they're trying to adopt with, like, disclaimers of may not be this exact dog or this exact size or whatever due to variability of breeding stock and shit. It's like, dude, you're trying to adopt a dog from us for like 150, 200, 300, whatever, depending on the size of the dog, right? You're trying to adopt a dog from us and then turn around and sell it for $1,500, $3,000, depending on the dog.
That's disgusting.
Isn't that disgusting? Like, that's just fucking gross, dude. Because, like, the one that's with me right now, Bonnie, the fucking the Great Bernese Mountain Dog, or whatever the fuck her name, whatever her breed. I mean, Bernese Mountain Dog. It's not a Greater Bernese.
I think she's pretty great.
I think she's pretty great too. But, like, this dog on the open market is like a $2,000 dog. And people try to adopt them and fucking resell them to turn a profit. It's like, dude, they're not fucking comic books. You can't speculate on animals, you shit. What's wrong with you? Oh, it's fucking gross.
It is gross. That's horrible.
So, all that being said, you should buy Bubsy right now.
I just did. I just put it on my credit card. I feel dirty spending $40 on that game.
But also kind of like the good kind of dirty, because it's like, yeah, Bubsy.
Well, that's it. That's the last one. That's the only that is the only Bubsy release that I'm missing. I now have all of the rest of them.
Well,
the American ones. I didn't get all the ones from every other region as well. I'm not that crazy
yet. Somebody's got a birthday coming up. Let's. That's what we'll do. We'll all you got me a PlayStation 5. We're all going to chip in and get you like a weird Brazilian version of Bubsy 2, to where you're like, well, fuck. Now I got to get the rest of these because I can't just have the Brazilian Bubsy 2. I have to at least get the first one.
Wow, the box for Bubsy on Super Famicom is pretty hilarious.
Is it also super expensive?
I don't know. I wonder.
How did they manage to release that game in Japan? Like, there was nobody at Japanese headquarters going, no.
I mean, maybe they thought it would be funnier if people couldn't understand them.
Oh, I mean, he had such a tude that I feel like...
What the hell?
Yeah, it's that much money, isn't it?
$340.
Nope.
Plus $44.33 in shipping.
Fuck
for
you,
a complete
the horse you rode in
box.
on. Where the breeder you bought that horse from. The cowboy movies you watched to learn how to ride like a horse.
That's just somebody asking. I don't know what it's sold for. Let me check out price charting.
It's absurd.
That's absurd. Oh boy, it's delightful. That was a genuine laugh right there. Let's see.
God.
Bubsy. PAL, Super Nintendo. It seems like it's just the Japanese one that's worth any kind of money. Oh, Bubsy 2 complete on Game Boys. Like, the cart is worth $12. Complete is $105. But that one I get because it's Game
arbitrary.
Boy. Game Boy boxes are so freaking scarce, especially on weird ass games, which is why I have a repro box for that, and I will never ever pay money for a real one. But I don't have the Japanese one listed here on price chart. Oh, there it is. At least I think that's Yamaneko Bubsy no Daipoken.
Yeah, that sounds Japanese. I mean,
well, yeah, a complete one here seems like it's like $50. That's not. I mean, it's still too much, but it's
still
not
way too much.
It's at least it's acceptable. I imagine this game is not very common. the Japanese version of Bubsy. This cannot have had a very large print run.
I mean, it probably sold 1 billion copies in Japan. Just...
Oh, my goodness.
Speaking of Japan, anyway, to get back before I was so rudely interrupted.
Hey, I had important shit, all right?
Important? Yeah, no, it was. It was very important. So I've been going back and doing all of the side quests and all of the other little mission things in Ghost of Tsushima this week because Tiff has been very busy, so we haven't gotten to spend a ton of time together to play like Miles Morales to advance through the story because she wants to watch that, or through Star Wars. We did play a little bit more of that though. But going back and playing through all of the like little side missions and trying to, I liberated the island of Tsushima. All of the Mongols are gone. I've destroyed every single one of their camps. I felt like I owed it to the people of Tsushima. After what they had to go through, I went and like did all the little side stories with all of the like the supporting characters. When
did the Mongols rule China?
God damn.
I don't know. I just work
China?
here.
I don't know. This was in Japan. They invaded Japan. They didn't win.
Bill and Ted.
Oh shit! Sorry, I thought we were asking a legitimate question. My bad.
I don't know. I just work here.
I forget Bill and Ted references quite often, Chris, because I'm not a big fan. I gotta be honest.
Oh, that's a bummer.
Bill. I know. I feel like I should be. I don't love it.
When was the last time you watched the first one?
Oh my God, 20 years ago, at least.
I feel like you might get something more out of it.
Maybe.
Might be worth a shot. I don't know. Or maybe you'll think it's just as stupid as then. But I know that when I watched it as an adult, I got a lot more out of it than I loved it as a kid because I thought it was silly and whatnot. But there were definitely things that I find a lot funnier now.
I mean, and you know me, man. Like, I love silly. I'm all about silly. Like, I 100% checked in. Ministry of Silly Walks. It's one of the funniest things that's ever been recorded. Like, love that kind of just silly, goofy shit. But I don't know. Bill and Ted just never really, it never really struck a chord with me. I don't know. Did you see what I did there? Struck a chord. Wild Stallions. Anyway, see, I got that bit. I'm good there. What else? So we did play some more of that Star Wars game, and Tiff keeps, she's like, it's so, she said to me the other day, we're sitting there playing it, and I keep mentioning to her how jarring it is to go from a game like Ghost of Tsushima that was updated for PS5 that has a consistent, just rock solid and buttery smooth at the same time, 60 frames per second at 4K, to Star Wars, which definitely does not have that. And it's so jarring to go like right off of Ghost of Tsushima, right into Star Wars. What's that?
Is it jar-jarring?
It's jar-jarring, mostly because there's...
don't worry, I'm just over here telling myself jokes I never heard.
No, that's good. Speaking of, oh my God, what was the joke Katie or Penny said at dinner today? It was so fucking offensive. Oh my God, it was so fucked up. Oh, she was like, so Dad, I feel bad. My 11-year-old told us this joke at dinner tonight. She was like, so Dad goes up to his son, and he's like, son, did you see what the neighbors bought for their son? They bought him a basketball hoop, a skateboard, and roller skates. And I just think that's really messed up because he doesn't have any legs. And the son said, Dad, you know I'm blind. And I was like, oh my God. It's like, I don't know if that's funny or not, but you're 11.
That's funny because it's so weird.
Yeah. Like, Jesus.
What a strange thing to say.
Sorry, I didn't mean to peak the audio there. Anyway, but it's just, it's very jar-jarring because there's a lot of similarities in the combat between the two. So like going from the 60 frames per second to the not 60 frames per second is very weird. And the map is garbage. It looks cool, but it's garbage and it's not very useful. That said, still a very cool game, and I do recommend that you pick it up. Apart from that, I don't think I've been playing much other than the Street Fighter stuff and Pad. I saw you played Pad the other day, though. Like, you popped up and, like, last active, like, a day ago. I was like, oh, shit, Kris played again.
Yeah, no, I was going to talk about that. I put the work in. I did. It's been a weird week, so I didn't have a lot of time to really dedicate to it. But once I had some time, I jumped back in there, and I did try. I officially started the story mode, and I can't do it. I cannot connect it the way that you can't look at that screen and see a full puzzle. All I'm seeing is like this can go here, and then this can go. Like I'm seeing a series of moves, not how do I move this thing to fix everything. And I really, really put some effort into trying that out, and then my daughter started banging on the door or something. Can't a man shit in peace?
No, you can't.
Definitely
you can't at all. One thing that I found that really helped me with that, because it took me a while to get to that point too, of like, I don't understand. Like, I'm enjoying this, and I like the artwork, and you know, it's leveling up cards, and that's like that constant sort of reward structure of like, oh, I got to get this thing to do this bit, and like whatever. There's always that constant goal. But once I started playing with a stylus, and my big fat fingers were out of the way, I was like, oh, I can see so much more of the board now. This made a gigantic difference, which is an interesting thing.
Well, I have a stylus that I bought for Mario Maker. I'll try and give it another week before I officially give up. I have,
Yeah,
I have ghosts and goblins to try and get through still.
That's true.
So
I'm glad you're continuing to try it, though. I saw we had a listener or two also say that they downloaded it.
Yeah.
If you need help, and I'm going to respond on the Discord too, so by the time this message reaches you, we may have already done this. But always feel free, like if you download Pad and you are stuck or have questions, like make sure to message me, and like you can send me pictures of your monster box, and I'll build you a team. And because like that's one of the other parts of it too, is once you get a team that works together, and like you actually have some time to move orbs and shit, like because they just updated Guile. I think I said that last week in Japan, and on my Guile team, I have 22 seconds of movement time, which feels like a goddamn eternity. Because when I started playing this game, I had 5 seconds of movement time. And it was like, all right, I gotta get quick at this. And now, having like 4 times the amount of time that I was used to, it's like, oh, I could do this all day. But I am happy. I am happy that you at least, are giving it a shot. I don't know that it's going to click with you in another week, but...
Yeah, that's the best I can offer is that I will continue to give it a try, but I at the very least have earned a much healthier respect for it since our time together.
That's good. That's good. And at least, if nothing else, you keep it around until Street Fighter comes back.
Yeah, I'm not going to delete it.
Yeah,
I'll keep it around. I'm not going to be actively like, okay, I need to try to make this work. I need to put in the effort to make this click. And at a certain point, it's Final Fantasy VII all over again.
Right. You get on, you clear a 1-a-day dungeon for a stone, and then save those stones for Street Fighter, and then like, oh look, I have Ryu, and then whatever.
Well, let's see. We do still have an entire interview to get to, so let me real quick jump in here. We were able to play a little bit more of Marvel 3. We were kind of stuck on Kingpin tonight. Kingpin with an Infinity Stone is kind of a thing.
Yeah, that sounds bad.
Yeah, he's got it in his pimp cane, so like he starts off super easy. He's just like, I'm Wolverine. I'm just stabbing him in the butt. Just go behind him, like stab you in the butt, and
stab.
it's a good time. And then like, you know, Karen and John will both die, and I'll go and revive them or whatever, or they'll revive each other, and I'm just like beating up Kingpin. But then he activates the Infinity Stone and like blows up the top of his office for some reason, because I guess the dude hates ceilings. And he just keeps summoning more ninjas, and he does these attacks that just take away a bunch of health. I almost had him too, and if my team was better, like, and I don't mean to insult Karen and John. If my team was not
a 7-year-old and my wife,
then we'd probably really have no problem. And like, if the computer guy was worth anything, like our computer guy's just like whatever. And Karen's, she's getting better at it too. Like she's not bad at the game, but it's like, and I feel like I need to go in and try to figure out some of the leveling up system, because you have to like manually do a bunch of that stuff, and we're not doing it because it takes a ton of time, and I don't feel like dealing with a bunch of stats when John just wants to be Venom and beat up ninjas. So
yeah,
I'll have to find the time to do that on my own, because she'll be doing great, but she's playing a Spider-Gwen a lot, and she only takes like 4 or 5 hits before she's dead.
Right.
So like, I feel like I've got to up her defense somehow, and she'll be a much bigger help. But yeah, I got him down to almost nothing, and then it was 8:30 or sorry 7:30. I was like, I have to go, and then I got smacked one more time. I was like, well, I'm out. Sorry.
Yeah, it's not like you're playing with me, Dean, and Mike.
Yeah.
Oh. So
positive side though, Mike, good old buddy Mike Sheridan. Happy birthday, pal.
Happy birthday, Mike Sheridan.
It was his birthday over the weekend. He's another year older, and he's just a lovely man. And
he's a wonderful dude.
He's one of my favorite humans. And another birthday, and I think it will have happened by the time the show airs. But happy birthday, Greg, one of my oldest friends. Another birthday. Shout outs, man.
I never liked Greg.
What a thing to say on his birthday.
Always kind of a prick. I feel like somebody needs to be honest with Greg. Maybe he'll stop being such a dick. Just walks around thinking he's okay. Nobody call him on his shit.
Hey, I love Greg. So a quick update on the Metroid thing. So we finished Zero Mission. We were starting Samus Returns last week, and that continued to go very well. John loved Samus Returns. He just loved it. He
awesome.
Loved the graphics. He loved the story. I kind of botched the ending with him, though. We played through like all of the end of that game in a very long stretch, and I could tell that he was getting antsy.
Right.
But I was being impatient because I just wanted to finish it. I was like, no, I really want to play this Ridley fight again. And it didn't strike as hard as it would have had I waited. I should have stopped after or like right before we got to the Queen Metroid, the Metroid Queen, and I didn't. That's where I should have stopped and said, all right, we're going to do this on another playthrough, because that Ridley thing should have blown his mind. And instead it's been like retroactively like catching up with him, because he was really paying attention to the game, but he was so fidgety he couldn't pay as much attention as he wouldn't have normally been able to, because he's 7 and he's like ready to bounce off the walls, and we've been sitting still for a very long time. But so I kind of botched that, but at the same time he did really get it, and he's like, he keeps going back to it and thinking about it and talking about it. But we started Super Metroid, which I was a little bit nervous about, because he kept talking about how much he loved the graphics in Samus Returns. But that has not been an issue at all. He's loving it.
That's awesome.
Game's
just so good.
It is. It's so good. And we're in Meridia now, so we're, like 3/4 of the way done with it. And I'm trying to take my time, but I know this game so well. There's nothing to do but me like really relaxing. Like I took my time on Kraid, because it's like, now check this out. I can beat him in like 2 seconds. You go in there, pump super missiles down the throat, and
it's not a very long game to begin with.
No, it's definitely
really
longer than Zero Mission. It's not nearly as long as Samus Returns, but that's what's really cool about this that he's really enjoying, is that Zero Mission is super cool, but we beat it in like 2.5 hours.
Right.
And then Samus Returns took us more like close to 9. But Samus Returns is, SR388 isn't as interesting a planet as Zebes is.
Right.
But now we're running around Zebes, and all the different areas look so different, and all these different colors, and like the wrecked ship. It's so much more diverse. Yeah. And he's just loving the environments. He's loving the bosses. We just beat Fantoon and got the. I was afraid that the speed booster in Zero Mission was going to kind of like spoil him on the coolness of the speed booster. But then we played it. It's like, it's kind of slow. Like, it's neat, but it's so much cooler in Super Metroid. And I got the speed booster in Super Metroid. It's like, whoa, that is so much cooler. So it's a really neat experience seeing him take these games in this order, you know? Like, he's not playing the originals, and I'm going back and showing him the key moments of the originals. Like, this is what the Metroid Queen looked like in the Game Boy one. This is what an Omega Metroid looked like in the original one. Or this is what the original Ridley fight looked like. So I'm going back and introducing those piece by piece because he loves the old graphics and the old sound and stuff. But I feel like these remakes have done so much to make those games better. You know, we've talked about it plenty of times. Yeah. Zero Mission is just... It's just effectively better. Replaces the original Metroid, and Samus Returns, I feel, does the same thing with Metroid 2. It's not like better in every conceivable way. There will always be a charm to those original games because they're great, but these new versions
these are better.
They're just so good. But I will say that having played them in this specific order with fresh eyes, I can at least entertain the concept of a remake of Super Metroid now. Mostly because and it's something that I didn't quite appreciate until now, and I understood it, but really appreciating it now because I'm also in my off time playing original Metroid and Metroid 2 like a couple minutes at a time just to mess around with them. Super Metroid was definitely a sequel to Metroid 2 in that it still felt like very distinctly Metroid, but when Fusion happened, they gave Samus a very different weight. She's much faster and heavier. And now playing through Zero Mission and Samus Returns in particular, with that kind of weight and speed, Super Metroid does feel a bit slow. It doesn't have to feel that slow because you have the run button and everything. So not Samus's individual movements, but the weight of her running and weight of her jumping and the inability to grab ledges. Like, it changed so much about how smooth Metroid can feel, like a modern 2D Metroid can feel. So I could entertain the concept of a Super Metroid remake, but we mentioned this a little bit in our upcoming interview. I think that Fusion is the next one that needs the remake because Fusion is still a Game Boy Advance game, and there are aspects of it that don't look and sound as good as Super Metroid because of the inherent limitations of the Game Boy Advance. So, and you know, God, going through Samus Returns and how freaking epic all the boss battles are, like all the little cinematics where the creature comes out and roars at you, and like the cool little moves where you get up close and like jamming missiles down their throats and stuff. I think about stuff like that and like how much cooler things like Fantoon and Crocomire and whatnot could be if the game were to be remade, and I start to think like I could see how it could be done. They'd have to be very careful. Very
careful.
But if they nailed it, it would really be something.
I really would.
John also loved the baby Metroid. He's so cute. And then, you know, we start up Super Metroid the next day and it gets kidnapped by Ridley and he's invested. And he doesn't know about the ending. He doesn't know. He knows that there's a second form of Mother Brain because there's a spirit for it in Smash Brothers, but he doesn't know what's going to happen. I can't wait to see how he reacts. So there's no sign of slowing down yet. We're, at the very least, there's no question in my mind we're going to finish Super Metroid in the next day or two and then blow through Fusion pretty quick too. Whether or not he wants to continue on to Prime after that is going to be entirely up to him.
Right.
But I guess we'll see.
All right, then.
Well, that is pretty much it for us. So we've got this interview. We sat down with Christoph. I thought I knew how to pronounce his last name. He is very French, and he said his last name, and I don't remember how he said it because I couldn't understand him.
I think he said Galati.
Galati?
That's what I heard.
I'm looking at his Twitter, and it's like Deneos. And that's where I got totally confused. Like, that doesn't even sound like it starts with a G. So...
No, I believe he said Galati.
Okay. Either way...
but in our super American way, we are fucking up a foreigner's name.
Yes, but with nothing but the utmost of apologies, because this is a really fun interview. He's an interesting dude, and Save Me Mr. Tako, if you've been listening to the show for a long time, is a game that I was really invested in, and it turned out to be something very different than what I thought it was, and I was not alone in that, which is something that I learned from this, is that was actually kind of a problem with the way the game was promoted to begin with, which was not his idea. The game's in a really interesting spot right now, and there is a definitive edition being released that I'm pretty excited for, but the definitive edition is being released in lieu of a patch, which is unfortunately an impossibility for people who already own the game. So it's a super interesting story, and we just had a lot of fun chatting with him. So here is our we're going to take ourselves a quick break. When we come back from the commercials, you will hear our conversation with Kris, and enjoy. You're listening to the Stone Age Gamer podcast from Geekade.com. Stick around. And now, here's a quick look at some of the other original content available now from our partners and Geekade.com.
First up, on this week's episode, the Twepcasters. You guys really call yourself that?
Sure.
Not the Twepsters?
No. Well, imagine I said something clever.
That was clever. Take a look at Alan Tudyk in a human suit in his new show, Resident Alien. Do they say it like Resident Evil? I hope they do.
They do not.
That's such a shame. They really should have called us. It's a sci-fi joint, so the bar was set low, but it is Alan Tudyk, so did the bar rise? Phrasing. Of course, Twep wouldn't be Twep without everyone talking about what they've been watching, which was, of course, the thrilling conclusion of The Good Wife. Is that show still on? Of WandaVision. How did the Twepcasters and that other clever thing you said all feel about the finale? How excited are they for Falcon and the Winter Soldier? Did Angie survive Bridgerton? Side note, I fucking didn't. Find out on this week's episode 226, I can and I will, spelled with one N because it isn't a weapon. I love you, Evan.
That was word for word the script. Well done.
I know. It sounds so natural. And I love that you write with all of my inflections and bullshit. It's great. You really, really get me. You are my Renee Zellweger.
Next. Next, I have a bunch of shit caught in my throat. Next, I love the Game Boy Color. You love the Game Boy Color. Everyone loves the Game Boy Color. And this week, on an all-new episode of the Waveback Podcast, Matt and myself listen to the wonderful sounds of the Game Boy Color classic, Game & Watch Gallery 2. Sure, it's a collection of very simple Game & Watch games, but when Nintendo decided to remake these games for a then-modern era, they went way harder than anyone could have possibly expected them to. If you like chiptunes, or you just like listening to me gush about how much I love them, be sure to check out Waveback episode 124, Game & Watch Gallery 2.
I was really hoping you were going to go with, I love Game Boy Color, you love Game Boy Color, everyone loves Game Boy Color. So this week on an all-new Waveback podcast, Matt and I talk about Game Gear shit. Fun.
Let's discuss the Xbox classic.
Voodoo Vince.
It's all about Drake and the 99 Dragons this week, guys.
Finally, Kris, you know what I've always wondered?
No.
I've always wondered just where in the hell Mario finds the time, and quite frankly, the nerve to be involved in so many different professions. Golf? Not good enough. Mario Golf. Tennis? Nah, son. Mario Tennis. Party? Not just a regular party, Kris. A Mario Party. Dog, would you stop hitting me? I'm doing a professional commercial. Mario truly
Not
is
just a dog, Mario dog.
Mario dog. Damn it, Bonnie. Mario truly is, Chris. I think I figured it out. He is the epitome of the fragile white male ego run amok. And puzzle games were not spared, Chris. Tetris was already a thing. A well-established on every single computer thing from Russia with love, damn it. But no, here comes Mario with his lab coat, his viruses, and his pills, and his puzzles to muscle in on the puzzle scene. What is he a doctor of exactly? Is he like a Facebook doctor who tells you not to wear a mask and that vaccines don't work? Or is he like a doctor that's just somebody that has a doctorate in communications but makes you fucking call them doctor? In what world does this make sense? Why is he pushing drugs? And why is it good, Chris? I mean, it's not Tetris, but it's good. Will a dude, a lord, and the truth teller answer these questions and more? Find out on episode 6 of A Dude, a Lord, and the Truth, Tetris versus Dr. Mario, right here on the Geekade.com podcast network, brought to you by our friends at Squarespace and Quibi. That's right, they're still sponsoring us. Their platform went away, but Quibi was good shit.
For all this great content and more from us and our partners at Quibi, be sure to keep your eyes on Geekade.com. Okay, hi, we are here with... Who are we here with? Who are you? Let's say your name so I don't screw it up.
Hi, I'm Christoph Galati, and bonsoir from France.
And he is the developer of Save Me, Mr. Tako, which is a game that I was like super into when it first came out, and then wound up running into some issues, and then there's a whole big old story behind it. So let's see, where do we even begin here? So I guess let's talk about how you even came up with the concept of this game to begin with, because when I saw, I guess it was the original trailer for this coming out for the Switch. Was it on Switch first? When did this even come out? I feel like it was years ago.
The game was first released in 2018.
Okay.
But it was a very long development because I made the game like mostly by myself for 4 years. So the development started back in 2014, actually.
Wow. And so I had, when I was playing this, immediately the game that came to mind when I started playing it was Kirby's Dreamland 2. Was that a direct inspiration? Because it was clearly very Game Boy. Like, I mean, it is a Game Boy game, but it also isn't a Game Boy game, which I found fascinating and sometimes jarring. But really, just the whole thing with the doors that you would go through that would enter the different stages, it really struck me as very specifically Kirby's Dreamland 2. Was that a direct inspiration, or what was your biggest inspiration for making this?
But when I started the development of the game, like 2014 was the year of Game Boy 25th anniversary.
Oh, okay.
So that's why at this time I started to make the game. Like, it was kind of a weird year for me. I was like 20. I was 19. I was in game school, and I was like, it was a year where we are like two weeks at the internship and 1 week at school. So we were mostly never at school. And the internship I had was like very depressing because I was kind of like making advertisement game for like cheese company. So it was very, very depressing times. But,
wait, how is making an advertisement game for cheese a bad thing? How could that be anything but fun?
It was bad because like it was like a big French cheese company like La Vache qui rit, maybe you know, with a red cow.
Yeah.
Okay.
But they have like a museum on one mountain in France. So for the museum, they ordered for games. So I had to make one.
How?
But yeah,
how? I need to know more about this game.
Well,
Like,
it's
were you
only-
the red cow? Were you rolling cheese wheels around? Like, how did that work?
It was like an history game of the history about the history of the company, like with pictures and like you have to find difference between the pictures and stuff like that. But it was
Oh,
very depressing because like I was an intern, like I was a student in Paris and it was very expensive. So when you are an
Oh.
intern, you are paid even less and you are not even introduced like to the clients. So I was like, yeah, I'm doing the game, but I'm not paid, not paid. And like, it's like, it was hard. So, and even at school, it was like, we were never there. So I was kind of missing my early days, like, because I started making game when I was around 12 using RPG Maker. So I did a lot of RPG Maker before.
oh, nice.
And I was kind of missing that the fact like coming back home and making my own passion projects at this time. So that's what like all those things gathered, like being Game Boy 25th anniversary, wanted to make a new game by myself, and at the same time I ate takoyaki for the first time. I don't know if you know takoyaki.
Yes.
It's
I
the Japanese
do.
meal with octopus.
I will
So-
say that I bought this game the day it came out. I was super excited about it. I talked about it for a good long while, and it wasn't until I was playing the game this evening for the first time in a while, just kind of prep for the show, when my wife walked in and said, "Oh, I get it, like takoyaki." Never occurred to me before this evening. Just never made that connection until today.
Well, I'm kind of work with like visions. So like when I ate takoyaki for the first time, I had the vision of an octopus character. So that plus the Game Boy plus Unity, because the game was made with Unity, and the same year they released their 2D tools, because before that you can't really do 2D with it. So all of that gathered, and it led to Save Me Mr. Tako. And Tako is kind of the first step on one of my big artistic, how to say that, path that I want to follow, to pay tribute to games that inspired me growing up.
Mhm.
So like I wanted to make a real tribute to the Game Boy era and take everything like inspiration on many games that inspired me. So including Kirby, and the two main are Kirby and Zelda Link's Awakening. But there are also
Okay, I
like
can definitely see that.
but there is also a lot of Seiken Densetsu and another Japanese game very obscure called Kairu no Tameni Kane wa Naru, which is like the engine is the same than that's Link's Awakening. Like
Okay.
the game with the frogs and stuff
Oh,
like that.
the for the frog, the bell tolls. Is
Yes,
that what the
this
English
one.
translation is? Yeah.
Yes, this one. So yeah, I try to take a lot in many Game Boy games, and I'm a big JRPG fan. So like it was kind of like if Kirby swallowed Final Fantasy, kind of the mood for the game.
That's definitely a comparison. I think I made almost that exact comparison back when I was talking about this on the show, because it's really striking how you really nailed the feeling of a Game Boy game. Like, this game moves, and the weird way like that he shoots the ink out and stuff like that is very true to the way that would have worked on an original Game Boy. Like, it feels like you're playing a Game Boy game, for better or worse. But it's also, and this is what I was saying, that it felt jarring, because I start playing it and I'm expecting this simple thing, but then there's this very deep RPG story going on. Like, I really didn't expect, when I first saw the trailer or whatever, I just kind of expected it to be this adorable platformer with an octopus, and then I wind up like kind of being invested in like this princess and this whole war of like the octopus versus the humans, and it was really caught me by surprise, and I was very interested in it. And it's a very unique kind of a thing, because I don't feel like there's a lot of platformers with this style of really this deep of a JRPG type story attached to them.
Yeah, it was kind of like the way the game was marketed was really like a Kirby cute octopus game. But my goal was no matter the game I was created, even at game school, I come from a RPG background. So I always want to create a big universe and tell a story. That was the main goal. Like, it's not like because many people thought like it would be like the Shovel Knight of the Game Boy.
Yeah.
But for me, my goal was not to make like a revolutionary platformer using retro codes. I really wanted to use this code and the trope of the Game Boy era, because the Game Boy not only have an aesthetic, but it also have a mood, I think. Like the game were really weird, and like you can see that because of the team who were making the game, it was kind of taken less seriously, but it also allowed the developer back in the day to have more creativity. Like you can see that on the Zelda Link's Awakening. Like it doesn't feel like any other Zelda game because the story is more dark and it's very whimsical, maybe is the term.
So I just got done playing Metroid 2 with my son, which is another great example. Like I've been writing this whole series on Game Boy sequels that really did very different things that affected their franchises going forward. Do you think about like Operation C introduced the homing missiles to Contra, and it was a perfectly functional Contra game on a Game Boy that really took advantage of the system's limitations. And it's always fascinating to see from that era in particular what people could do within those limitations, because limits tend to foster creativity. And you wound up with crazy stuff like, okay, how do we make a Batman game on Game Boy, right? We're not going to just port the NES game, because you know what happens when you do that. The screen resolution is totally different. You wind up with giant characters on the screen. You can't see anything ahead of you. So we're going to make him this little tiny dude, so you have the same screen real estate, and make it a platform shooter because people at Sunsoft are crazy. But that kind of stuff happened all the time on the Game Boy, and it's fascinating. I guess that really makes sense with the size of Tako on the screen, right? He looks like an Octorok basically. From Zelda, and he's kind of around that size, but now you've got this widescreen real estate. So I guess a question that I would be leading to there is why did you go with the very specific Game Boy feeling and emotion and aesthetic, but make it full on widescreen instead of shrinking it down to like a square Game Boy thing?
Well, actually, when I started the development, I made the game for 4:3 ratio, like the Game Boy, and you can still play in this ratio in the option. But that really was when I signed my contract with Nicalis. They were like, no, we want widescreen. So I added that after. But mostly the game was conceived in the 4:3 ratio.
Okay.
But yeah, like I was really, when I was developing it, I was like very like I wanted to be a tribute to the Game Boy. I don't want to make choices that are untrue to the Game Boy era, which led to many frustrating things in the game that I tried to fix in the patch. But I took a bit too much of the Game Boy about the Game Boy, and but yeah, I conceived the game in 4:3.
So here's a question. Does the game work on a Game Boy?
No. No. The game is made with Unity, like a software from today.
Right. And,
the game is far too big. Like there is more than 100 music track, so you can't have that on the Game Boy.
Yeah, that probably wouldn't fit too well. The colors I thought was a cool touch. They all seem to be, at least the ones that I unlocked, all seem to be really directly like things from the Super Game Boy. Was that an intentional thing there?
Yes. I took all the palettes from the Super Game Boy.
Nice.
I didn't create new palettes. It's all palettes that were there.
I thought I recognized pretty much all of them as I'm going along. Like it was giving me flashbacks. I spent so much time with the Super Game Boy when that came out. I loved that thing. Did you guys get the Super Game Boy 2 in Europe, or was that just Japan?
Yes. We had that in Europe too.
I know we got
we got the Super Game, the original one, but I don't think we ever got the 2. Because I'd never seen one in retail. Wild.
Yeah, but we had the Super Game Boy at home. Like my big brother is a game collector. So basically, I grew up with many retro games. That I think the game shows that. But because like when I was like 10, it was like the PlayStation 2 era, and I was like playing the NES. So.
Oh, we feel old.
A little bit. It's all right though.
Yes, I grew up on NES. I got my start where me and Dan are basically 40, so we started on stuff like the Atari and the NES and whatnot. And I was having a lot of really impressive Game Boy flashbacks when playing this one, because like I said, you really nailed that feeling. So you had mentioned a couple of things that you felt needed to be fixed in the update. What specifics would you go into that you've corrected for the not necessarily corrected but enhanced for the update?
Well, the frustrating thing with the game is like people, as you said, people expected a cute platformer, while in my end I wanted to make a RPG. So somehow, like, people who wanted to play a platformer were kind of frustrating because there were too many texts, and people who wanted to enjoy the story were frustrated because the game was too difficult. So it was kind of like I had to find a good balance, which was not present in the original version. So like I went back on many levels, removed the frustrating enemies, I reworked the camera, and many things. Like the jump is less, like you fall less fast, you have more time to see what's coming.
Yeah, that was an issue that I would run into even when I was just playing it earlier. I tried picking up on my game save from ages ago, and I was like, nope, I have no idea where I'm going. I'm totally lost. So I started a new game last night, and it was recalling all the issues that I had with it. Like it's in the bones of it are fun, and as I played it, I can tell how much love was put into this project, and I want to like it more than I do. It's just, you keep getting one hit killed by something that you didn't see when you're making a blind jump or something. So hearing that you rework the camera is like making my heart happy, because
there is also like a new mode where you have hearts now, so you can get hit.
Oh, that's so lovely. There's
new difficulty mode, and you can change the difficulty anywhere you want.
Oh, that's great.
Like that. There is an auto palette feature now, so like the palette change depending on the place, and you don't have the fixed one.
That's cool.
But
That's
I didn't only think about the difficulty. I also thought about people who want to enjoy the story. So now there is also a hint system. Like if you remember, like the authors who gave you hats. Now, if you come to talk to her, she reminds you where you have to go.
Oh, that is very helpful. That would have helped me today, where I would when I was trying to load up my old save file, if I could go figure out where I was supposed to head next. But yes, the story was very interesting, and I don't remember most of it. I remembered, he's in the beginning and he's all done up in his armor, and you can clearly tell that Tako doesn't want to see. I keep saying Tako, and when I got the game, I went to my local taco place, Mexican food, and I took a picture and posted on Twitter. I think you liked it, where it was like, I got tacos and Save Me Mr. Tako. I'm ready for my day. And I was really excited about that. And then I was like, not that kind of taco.
But at first I wasn't even aware of the whole Taco Tuesday thing, because in France we don't have that. So
you don't have tacos in France?
We have, but it's not like a big thing, like with the whole Taco Tuesday stuff. So when Mikali started to post with hashtag Taco Tuesday, it was like, I don't know why, but I got it. After. But yeah, in France it's not that big, I guess.
Well, are you going to release the patch on an upcoming Taco Tuesday?
I don't know. No, I can handle the communication now, so maybe not.
So I guess this is kind of the interesting thing. So the game was originally published with Nicholas, and now you're no longer with Nicholas. So where does the game stand now? Because I didn't realize until I spoke to you before the show that the game wasn't on the eShop anymore, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the game was delisted, so it's not sold anymore now. So I'm out of my contract with Nicholas, and we parted away. So now I have to republish the game on my own, and so I will handle PC myself, and I have a new publisher for consoles, but it's not announced yet, so I can't say who.
Well, okay, all right.
But that's coming. Like, we aim to release the game in spring, so we still have to go through Nintendo submission process, but the game is getting ready. I did my own round of playtests. So, like, to ensure that the game is no more balanced, and there are no new issues, and the issues that were there are fixed. Hopefully, most of them are. But yeah, it was like since we parted away, like last October, we've been working hard because there was a patch already existing that they never published, but we took this opportunity to really improve it even more and add new stuff, a bit of new content, and really rebalanced the whole game.
That's very exciting to hear. The thing that inspired this conversation in the first place was that I had learned you had said something on Twitter about how people who own the game already can't update. We have to buy the game again. So what's the story behind that?
Well, the story behind that is kind of frustrating to me, but because when you have a contract and the game is published on console or PC, there are two options. You can either delete the game or you can transfer it back to someone else. So if the game was transferred back to me, I could people will still have it on their library and could update it. But as it's been delisted, when I will republish it, it will be a whole new game. It won't be connected to the original one. So it will be a new game. And I contacted Steam and Nintendo by myself to ask if we could do a special sale or something like that. And they said we can't because it's not the same game anymore and you are not with the original owner of the delisted version. So we can't do special sales or stuff like that. So it's kind of, so so it won't happen. Sorry. I wish it could have happened and people wouldn't have to repay the game, but it was either that or the game would never have been patched. So I prefer to release it as a new version with the patch and everything else. And I tried to make the game interested to repay even for people who have the original version. So.
Well, I definitely appreciate that. I appreciate the honesty. How are you gonna sell that? I guess is my question. Like, do you have an idea of how you're going to go about marketing the game this time? Like you had mentioned before that the game seemed to have been marketed more in the direction of this is going to be the Gameboy version of Shovel Knight, and it's really not that. So what's the idea of how you're going to get the game into more people's hands and to convince the people who bought it already to buy it again?
Well, I did a few things for that. For the original version, I didn't have any end on marketing. So this time I have. So I worked with artists I liked to make new key arts, new artworks for marketing. And so the new artwork definitely sells the story and character more. Like in the one Nicalis did, there was only octopuses, like Tako and other octopuses around him. Now we can see the full cast of characters on the key art.
Cool.
The new one is not published yet, so it hasn't been shown yet, but you'll see in time. But the new key art really sell RPG.
Very cool.
The game in itself has changed name. It's not Save Me Mr. Tako. It's now it's more like Save Me Mr. Tako Definitive Edition.
Oh, okay.
So you can definitely see it's a new game.
So it won't have the same icon on my home screen.
No, it won't.
That's good because I have the old one. It's on. Like I said, I was just playing it beforehand, and the last thing I want is for it to have two of the same icon next to each other.
It won't be the same icon.
Very cool. Very cool.
So stuff like that. So we still have, as I said, we have a new publisher. I have a new publisher, and we need to discuss marketing more, but we need to make new trailers also and stuff like that. So we will work a lot to really sell the game for what it is. And hopefully now the game is more balanced and more accessible, so more players can enjoy it. So I hope when it will return, people will talk about it and share it more. Because I saw many people said, we like the game, but we feel it's too hard to recommend to friends and stuff like that. So I got that a lot for the first version. So I really hope this time it's more balanced and more people can enjoy it and see the story from beginning to end and not stop after 2 hours after the first difficulty spike.
I think I stopped at around 6 or 7 hours. I should have looked this up beforehand because I had a conversation with you on Twitter when I was going through it. There was some sort of escape sequence or something that I got through when I was trying to get away from something, and I was like, how much more is there to this game? And you had told me how much more there was to go, and I was slightly demoralizing because it was I was really just beating my head against. I wanted to know what happened next, but I was having such a hard time with the actual platforming, and it was a huge bummer. And I really appreciate that you've taken all of that criticism in stride and made something better out of it instead of. I mean, it definitely seems like if I were in your position, I'd be taking it very personally and be very angry at everybody. So I really appreciate that. This whole situation with the game was such a it seems like such a raw deal to get it from the beginning, and the fact that you're going forward with this effectively risky situation where you're putting out a whole new version of this game that already existed, and you're asking people to buy the game again, but you're doing it with this earnest, like, this is what the situation is. You're not hiding anything. I mean, you're here talking about, you're not trying to make excuses for anything, and I appreciate that.
Well,
there was
Tako
no question.
yeah, thank you. Yeah, but Tako is my first game, so I was 19 when I started it. So of course there are things that I didn't know, and I didn't have experience on many things, and I was like mostly by myself, making it for 4 years, so I couldn't feel the difficulty anymore. So now 2 years have passed, so I can feel it, and I read the feedback. I contacted many people, including people who left bad review, to playtest the new version, to be sure that even people who didn't like the original game will find it better now.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, I try to do my best for that, but still, yeah, the game is what it is, so I couldn't change everything. And I had to deal with old code like I wrote when I was 19. So it was hard, but I hope now it's better.
Well, that's the thing. It does have a really good skeletal structure. There's a really good game in there, and it's very charming. Looking forward to playing the new version of it. I mean, I'm in. I'll double dip. What the hey? I'll buy it again.
Is it just going to be PC and Steam, or are you looking at other platforms as well? Or PC and Steam, that's the same shit. Is it just going to be PC and Switch, or are you looking for other platforms?
Right now it will be PC and Switch, but now maybe we can do PlayStation. I can't confirm anything because no ports are currently done. Sure. But maybe it can happen in the future. And maybe now, because I handle PC myself, so maybe I can go to other PC store like Unreal Store or stuff like that. Epic Store or stuff like that.
Right.
It's not. Right now, I'm just focused on just releasing the game again, so it's back on stores, and then we'll see what we do.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just thinking, right, for all of the potential, and I think that's one of the things that you'll find, especially because you're being earnest and honest about it. Of like, look, the shit happened, trying to fix it and whatever. The potential negative feelings that might be there for asking people to double dip on the Switch and on the PC. Those of us who primarily play on the PlayStation or Xbox, we don't have that issue, right? Like that doesn't affect me at all. You know what I mean? So this is a brand new experience. And I know it's an interesting thing noticing over the last couple of years of seeing games that are styled in, like in the Game Boy aesthetic or in something that is very much a Nintendo aesthetic being put out on, PlayStation and Microsoft, and those things doing well, because those of us who are old now and grew up on that stuff, we've kind of migrated out to these different consoles and ecosystems and whatever.
Some of
sure. But there is still that nostalgia. Like I am primarily a PlayStation guy, but I do have nostalgia for things that, remind me of my childhood and whatever. Like there's a game I bought called Dogarai, which is just a samurai dog. But it's a Game Boy game. And I was like, oh, sweet, I'm going to buy that, and because it had that nostalgia factor. So yeah, I mean, I don't know, like, is that a crazy difficult process from a developer standpoint of, I built this game specific in Unity for this specific platform, taking it to another platform? Is that crazy hard, or is it just like, it's going to take X amount of work?
Well, Unity definitely helped to smooth the process, but it's not like something. It's not a skill I have. I didn't make the original port of the game for the Switch. Like, it was a freelance called Garrett who still worked with me for the new port.
Okay.
It's something like, usually you sign your contract with a publisher, and they pay people to make the port, or they have people specialized in those fields in their employee. So it's not a skill I personally have. So it costs money.
Right.
So it costs
So
money
you
to
made
have
this. You made it primarily for PC, and it was ported to Switch for you.
Yes.
And that was Nicholas. So who approached who in that situation? I was curious how that were you out shopping for publishers, or did they get wind of your game and kind of pick up on it?
Well, actually, when I started making Tako, I was really in the mood I want to do everything by myself and publish my game on my own.
Right. Very DIY.
Yeah, but Nicalis was the only one I contacted publisher-wise because I love Cave Story and the Binding of Isaac and stuff like that. So I thought like Tako could fit well in this catalog. So because in 2014, like I published a demo for the Game Boy 25th anniversary of the game. So I published the first demo, and that's because I was still a student at game school and part-time at an internship when I started the game. So I published the demo in 2014, and I sent it to Nicalis right away, and to other people in the game industry. I know, like teachers, and I spam like many people because I was like I was coming from nowhere, like I was like from a game school, and I was still a student. I didn't know anybody, so I spam, and I did a lot of game shows, like mostly in France at the beginning, but yeah, I contacted Nicalis for the first year of the development, and they answered and told me like, oh, it's cute, but I found back the email, and it was like, it's a terrible email. Like inside I said with many English typos. I say like, oh, I'm 19, I'm making my first game, and I don't want a publisher, but I like your game, so I want your feedback on it. So it was really that kind of email, but they answered.
I just want you to tell me my shit's good. I don't want you to do anything with it, but I respect you.
And they answered and told me like to keep them in touch. So during the whole development, I sent GIF to them like every 3 or 4 months. And at one point in 2016, the game was selected to Tokyo Game Show. So it was my first foreign game event, because before that I was only doing game events in France. I never took plane before that. So, and even like at that time, like I was still with my student loan and all, I couldn't pay for the trip and stuff. So I had to make a crowdfunding campaign to pay for the trip to go to Japan. And I got the money like in 2 days, thanks to the French indie scene, who shared the page a lot and said, we have to send the young indie to Japan. It's his fate. So I was sent there, and that's where I met Nicalis in person for the first time. And they were like, oh, do you want to bring your game to the NX? Because it was still the NX at the time and not the Switch.
Oh, right. Wow. I forgot about that.
And so I said yes. And a few months after that, I left my job at Paris and went back to my parents' house in the south of France to finish the development. And yeah, since then I'm still indie. I didn't took a job again. So.
Didn't sell out. Appreciate that.
But yeah, that's how it happened. So, but I was approached by other publisher, but I really wanted to be in the same catalog as Cave Story because I really love this game.
Right. I love Cave Story. That's a great game to look into, to want to connect yourself with.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, that's how it happened. But yeah, and after that, I did other game events. Like I went to PAX at Seattle and stuff like that. Went back to Japan for Beat Summit. But yeah, and then Tako was released, and so things happened. But I went back to Japan actually to start my new game actually. Because Tako was released 2 years ago, and I haven't done nothing in 2 years. But yeah, right after the development of Tako, I was kind of burned out because I worked a lot for 4 years in my free time. Like I didn't take care of myself at all during the development. Like I took 30 kilos. Like I was, it was really not. I was really focused on Tako and doing mostly that. So I took a bit of time to just take more care of myself and think about what to do next. and I got a huge opportunity. Like I was selected to go to an artist residency in Japan, actually, for 5 months. So I went to Kyoto for 5 months, like in early 2019, like from January to May. And that's where I started to work on my new game, which is a tribute to the Game Boy Advance.
Very cool.
That's what I said earlier, that I want to do the game history and pay tribute to different eras. So Tako was the first era I wanted to do for the Game Boy, and now I'm doing the Game Boy Advance. But yeah, I went back to Japan, so maybe they were right. I have things to do there. But I actually became like the first game creator to enter an artist residency in France, a French artist residency. So I hope I opened this door for other game developers to go to artistic place and artistic programs, because I think games are art, and it's still debates. So I hope I can help with that a bit too.
There's debate from old people who don't get it. There's debate from old people who still like, they're dumb. It's impossible to look at these sort of exactly what you said, like this creative artistic medium, and think of it as anything other than art. Just because it's interactive doesn't make it not art any longer. There's a very weird old gatekeeping aspect to it that's very strange too, of people who are very particular about what they consider art to be. And old people are just the fucking worst. Just the worst.
Well, it's not only old people though, but it's mostly part of ignorance. Like they don't know the media, and it's always the fight between entertainment and art, which like it's not. Sometimes it kind of apply, but for game I think it don't. But that's what I did. Like while I was there, I did a lot of exhibition where I put like retro games in I displayed old games. Like I bought the box in Japan stores and stuff, and said like for each era what it brought to me. And like many people, like where they enter the place, they were like, what is he doing here? Like, because the other artists that were there were like dancers, architects and stuff like that, and I was there with my games in the middle. But they were at first they were like, oh, what is he doing here? But like going through like looking at the old game box, they were like, oh yeah, I played that game back in the day, and like it brought me something. And so it bring back the nostalgia out of them, and they were like, yeah, maybe like films and music, I remember that, and it brought something to me. So when you give them that perspective, like they kind of see, yeah, it's art, but they don't think about it.
Games elicit feelings. It's unavoidable. There's, especially if you played games when you were young. Like I look at a screenshot of Dr. Mario and I'm instantly hit with a feeling of being a kid playing the NES on like a summer day with the window open and it's warm, and like the music. There's that's another thing. Games are filled with music, and music is art. So by default, at least a considerable chunk of what you're doing is art. But then you think back to even older stuff, to Atari, and the rudimentary things like something like Yar's Revenge or Pitfall or just where you're moving squares around on the screen. Even that is art. You're creating something with a very unique tool, and how are you representing what that is with this very limited palette? It's so clearly an art form, at least from my perspective. And I can't wrap my head around anybody who would consider themselves an artist who would look at a literal visual medium and not understand that it is as much art as anything else. Because there's artistry going back all the way to the beginning of the video games as a medium. So
yeah,
I don't know.
But that was kind of one of my fear when I entered the artist residency. It's called Villa Kujoyama, by the way. I haven't told the name before, but Villa Kujoyama at Kyoto. But I was kind of like very kind of nervous at first. I was like, oh, I will be an outsider, and even the artists will judge me like I don't deserve to be here. But it wasn't the case at all. Like all the artists were like, yeah, it's time for games to be there too. So even older artists that were here, like I was very welcomed. It was just sometimes people in the audience that like who didn't understand. But after I told to them or displayed what I do, they get it. So I was very surprised and then pleasantly surprised by the reaction.
Well, that's wonderful to hear.
That really is. It really is, because I mean, we spend a lot of time on our show, and I don't know how significant it is in France. I mean, I imagine there's this kind of stuff all over the world, but Kris and I spend a decent amount of time railing against gatekeeping and, you know, people that are just trying to keep their thing and screw everybody else. And this is, you know, it harkens back to when, you know, we were kids, and obviously we're older than you, but, you know, when Kris and I were growing up in America in the, you know, late 80s, there was a lot of, you know, like, this is for boys, this is for girls, and, you know, like, just even going so far back to that stuff of like, and that's where my distaste for all of that kind of grew from, of like, well, no, like, the girl wants to play football, like, that's cool, let her play football. You know, like, it's all good. Like, games are art is art, you know, and like there were always things of, we would take class trips, like a modern art museum, and a bunch of old teachers walking around being like, I don't get it. You're like, it doesn't matter if you get it. It's not for you. That's okay. Not everything has to be for you. And I think that's one of the wonderful things about, you know, about games, like, especially about the type of game that you're creating here, and then where you're going with this next phase of your kind of your timeline of gaming history, is that, you know, right out the gate that that's not going to be for everybody, and that's okay. They don't have to be, but for those of us that have that nostalgia or can appreciate that journey that you're trying to take, you know, that's a really awesome thing that you're doing.
Thanks. So yeah, games are really, like, gamer culture is a is a gate, I guess, because like there is a bit of elitist culture, and we could see that when with the indie scene, like when the feminism movement arrived, like there is the gamer that arrived. Like there is a lot of fight going on, and it's important that those fights take place. But there could be game can be everything, and everybody can play game, and I hope like it will be understood at some point by the community, because right now the community is very toxic.
Can be.
Yeah, I hope the game can be more diverse and more people can make game. And I try to have this kind of message in my game as well, so being more representative and show more various kind of characters than the one we usually saw.
Which I guess was that challenging at all, to show more representation when you have 4 shades of green to work with?
It was. It was, but I did my thing. Like I worked with my own sensibility and experience of life, so I tried to bring messages that are close to myself. So tolerance was a big one for Tako. Mm-hmm. But yeah, and it's something I will keep doing, and more queer characters, more strong female characters, and it will go even bigger in the next game.
Well, I'll definitely be following whatever your next project is whenever you announce it. Back to Tako though. I love tacos. Sorry, I'm very distracted by food. How did the original game do? Did it perform well?
Yeah, it did kind of well. I can't say the numbers, but it's okay. Like for a first indie game, it was good.
You were happy with the results?
I wish it could have done more, and that I could have patched the game along the go, but it did. I did what it did, and for a first game, it's good. I guess, like you saw when you saw the number of games that get released every day and like nobody talk about, the man was like I was noticed, and he didn't splash. Like people heard about it, people bought it, and so yeah, it's a good base to keep making games. So I'm happy about that.
Excellent.
You always wish it could do better, and like the story would be less hard, but it happened this way, so now we can see how it evolved in the future.
Very cool. So, what can you tell me about the music? I very much like the music in this game, and it is much like the visuals and everything. And one of the reasons I asked if it was even possible to run it on a Game Boy, because it doesn't just look like a Game Boy game; it sounds like a Game Boy game. What was the? Tell me about the composer and how did you have? How much influence did you have over the music? What was the music making process for this game like?
Well, the music was composed by Marc-Antoine Archier, who is a composer from France also. Like, we met at a game jam, actually, in Mozilla Fire. They did a game jam there. So that's where we met. And yeah, he composed for, like, during the jam, he made chiptune music for everybody. So I was like, I am making a Game Boy game, so I will need chiptune at a moment. So yeah, I keep talking to him after that, and like I showed him like music from I showed him my prototype of the game, and he was like, yeah, I can make music for it. But at first he never composed tracks in Game Boy style. So we really learned how tracks were made on Game Boy. He used the actual software, like the trackers.
He used like LSDJ.
Yeah, he used the one called Diffelmask, but it's kind of the same thing.
Okay.
So, but like what I liked in his way of composing, it's like he have a very classical music background. Like, he composed the tracks on the piano, and then he do them on the tracker. Oh. So I really like that, because like in the NES and Game Boy era, that's how music were composed as well.
Yeah.
Not really on computer, but on piano, and like very melodic. That's why now we have all the orchestral version of the tracks. So I really like the way he composed, and like, yeah, after that, like I made an Excel document where like, I need music for this and music for that, this character, and putting reference like music from other game or music in general, like that I put like their mood will match the one I want for the game, and we work like that.
That's
for
very
4 years.
cool.
But like, he made like there is 110 music in the game, so I wasn't like, it was my first game too, so there are music you will hear only one time, so that's not a good thing. Like, you had to work a lot. But
well, I mean, yeah, it's not a good thing as far as like having to work a lot, but from a game playing perspective, it's something that I really appreciated. It's similar to like one of my favorite composers is David Wise, and his work in Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze on the Switch was and Wii U was astounding, because there were so many songs in the game. Almost every level had a unique song. There were very few that really repeated, and that just lends so much surprise to it. Really makes you want to keep going throughout the game. It's like, not only what am I going to see next, but what am I going to hear next? So the amount of music that was in the game, I thought was really, really cool thing.
Yeah, and I also like, as I said, I'm an RPG player, so RPG have to have a big and great soundtrack. So I worked a lot with leitmotif. I asked a lot of leitmotifs. Like, there was a theme for Octopus, a leitmotif for humans, and you see those themes kind of repeats in the various tracks. Same for countries. Every country have this its leitmotif. So you see a lot of theme variation, like characters theme, like a not regular version, sad version, stuff like that. So I like that a lot. So I asked him to work this way too. So, but actually in the patch of the game, I added like a sound test, like you had on the Final Fantasy on the Game Boy Advance, where you can listen to the soundtrack in the game.
Oh, that's cool.
So there is a music player now in the game too.
Very nice. Is there like an official release of the soundtrack somewhere, like a Bandcamp or somewhere?
There is a Bandcamp actually, but now, but this time I hope we can also make like someday a physical version of the soundtrack and put all the track on YouTube. That was never done before. So hopefully we can also do that.
That would be very cool.
But yeah, I really hope he can get more recognition, because like, yeah, he haven't worked on a lot of indie game. So Tako was actually the first full game soundtrack he composed. So I hope he can get more recognition, because he made an awesome job on the game.
It did a great job. Was there any new tracks added to the fancy version?
Not a lot, but we added a new boss, a hidden boss somewhere. So the boss have a new track.
Cool. Very cool. So, what kind of games do you play now? Like, what kind of games are you playing these days besides when you're working on your own?
Well, I'm still playing a lot of JRPG, JRPG and indie games mostly, and sometimes some free to plays. Like right now, it's Genshin Impact a lot.
Man, see, I keep hearing about Genshin Impact, and I worry about what that will do to my life if I get involved in that as well.
It's a trap, but
Right?
but a good one. It's a trap, but yeah, I do my daily quest every day, but yeah, I play since day one, so I beat all the story content, so now I play less. But otherwise, I still play a lot on my Switch, so mostly JRPG. Like right now, I'm playing the Alliance Alive. Before that, I played East Origin and stuff like that.
Oh, cool.
But yeah, otherwise indie games, a lot of indie games, and now I try to allow myself more time to play with friends online after work hours. Like I try to have a real schedule now and not work all night like I did for Tako. But yeah, like I try to play more multiplayer game on PC, like Dead by Daylight, or just doing Mario Kart and Splatoon kind of games.
Very cool.
I try to play various kind of game because as a game creator, you need to keep an open eye, I think.
Well, yeah, I mean, like, I don't know what your next project is, but an indie game that came out recently that I was just head over heels in love with was The Messenger. And their next project is a JRPG, which looks amazing. So I love it with seeing developers take on different genres and just kind of flex their muscles in different directions. Like Lizard Cube remade Wonder Boy: The Dragon's Trap, which was gorgeous and beautiful, and then they moved on to Streets of Rage as a beat 'em up, and you just love to see that kind of stuff.
Yeah, actually, that was Lizard Cube who lent me their Switch dev kit to test the game before the release.
Really, that's cool.
Yeah, they're in Paris. But yeah, the game industry is small. You met a lot of people. But yeah, I try. I'm following game development, and that's the fun thing. Is everybody has their own game reference. Like because like the new game from the Messenger team is like very Chrono Trigger inspired. But because like people can say we are like kind of following the same path. Like they did a retro platformer, now a retro RPG, and I'm kind of doing the same somehow.
Well, that's what's going on with The Messenger. The Sea of Stars is like super Chrono Trigger inspired. So. That's pretty cool to hear. Anyone who wants to make games that are like Chrono Trigger, just pile them on, okay? I'm totally in with that because Chrono Trigger was amazing, and I really wish they'd make a new one.
Yeah, but my game, like the game I'm currently making, is also an action RPG, but it's more Terranigma, Illusion of Gaia kind of vibe.
Nice. Cool. I love Illusion of Gaia. I've never played Terranigma, and I really should, but I loved Illusion of Gaia.
Well, that's kind of the mood. But I already showed a bit of some GIF and about the new game, but it's still early in development, so there is no trailer or stuff like that, and still a code name. But I started to show stuff like before getting back to work on Tako, because I know the game is paused, so I can work on Tako again. So I can't wait for the game to be released so I can work on the new game again.
Oh, that's very exciting.
Were you affected by any COVID shutdowns for getting in the way of getting work on new game or Tako? Did that affect you guys at all?
Well, for the moral and the mental health, yes, because in France we were in strict lockdown, and now we are in half lockdown with a curfew and stuff like that.
Really?
But yeah, we can't go out in France after 6 p.m. since 5, maybe 6 months.
Wow.
Wow.
So it's kind of frustrating, but then I was already an indie working at home, so that didn't.
You weren't going out anyway.
Apart for seeing friends, no. but so that didn't change a lot. So I'm kind of lucky. But yeah, I had a lot of paid gigs and getting to game events and doing classes or conferences or travel. Because after the artist residency, I got a lot of contact with a French institution, so they wanted to send me to various countries to talk about game making or teach people how to make game. So all of that was cancelled. So that means less money too.
Right.
But it's okay. I manage. It's precarious, but it's, at least I can do the game I want, and my job is not affected. I can still work at home. Like many people have lost their jobs, so I'm not the one who can complain about that.
Right. Do you want to stay an indie developer, like, or do you want to join? Like, is there a project that you would jump on and sell out is the wrong word, but like, yes, I'm totally a corporate shill because I get to work on this thing, or do you want to stay indie?
Well, the thing is because I talk about Japan a lot and I really want to go to Japan, but the thing is I really want to stay indie, and so to go to Japan and stay indie at the same time, it will be hard. You need a lot of money for that. So,
right.
But I don't really. Yeah, I know the game I want to make, so I know the one I'm currently making. I know the one I want to do after already. So, and I'm kind of I'm not the kind of guy who start a lot of projects. So I'm more the kind who start a project and stay on it for 4 or 5 years.
Oh, see, that's good. We don't do that at all.
So
we start shit all the time.
But it's okay too. Like you see a lot of stuff. Like I kind of sometimes trap myself in big games, but it's okay. Like I know the game I want to do and the story I want to tell. So right now I'm still in that phase of I want to make the game I want.
Right.
And I have games to make. Like I made Tako, and I have at least 2 other games I want to make as an indie, and then we'll see. But yeah, I don't really. I worked in games company before, and it wasn't really what I wanted to do. Like it wasn't really, because I was young, but so I wasn't really listened to. And the game industry have a lot of issue with crunch culture and stigmas. So for queer people, it can be really hard sometimes too. But yeah, even if I don't have a lot of money, I prefer to stay indie at the moment, and hopefully my things will grow. Hopefully I will have a budget for the new game after I have the vertical slice prototype to show to publishers. So I can make I want to make a team this time and not do everything on my own.
Right.
And that's what I started to do. I started to work with graphic artists for the new game. But right now we are all indie style, so we don't have. I can't pay them, so I really hope we can get to the point where we have a budget and we can work regularly and efficiently on the game. But yeah, maybe at one point I join a game company, but it will not be before I finish the game I'm doing. Except if it's Lizard Cube and they get Illusion of Gaia to remake or stuff like that. Yes, this time, for this I could do. I could join. But,
Heck, I'd take a port. That game's never been put on anything but Super Nintendo.
Yeah, but I investigated that a bit, who owns the IP now, and it's kind of a mess. Quintet is the studio is a mystery. And they're all split up and the IP is divided. Square have a bit, so original team have some bits, but they disappeared. Nobody knows who they are, where they are now. It's
really?
There's a lot of mystery around Quintet.
Huh? Because I know Nintendo published it here in America, and that was how I actually found out about it. Because I had never really played Soul Blazer before. And then Nintendo put a big push on it here in the US. They gave it Zelda-style branding. It came with a free T-shirt when you bought it, and I just loved the heck out of the game. And it was years and years later that I found out Terranigma existed, and even that Soul Blazer was attached to it. And some I forgot the word. I've lost it. It's gone. In some way connected to Illusion of Gaia, and I've always really wanted to. It's just confused me why it's never been re-released, but I guess it makes sense that if the studio broke up and splintered off, and
the studio split up. After Terranigma, they worked on I think I don't remember if it was an N64 or PlayStation 1 game, but then because they were affiliated to Enix, so maybe the fact that Enix fused with Squaresoft, maybe I don't. The story is really a mystery still, what happened. But yeah, I heard many of the staff is now working on hero games in Japan. and stuff like that. So it's really, the Japanese game industry get a few bad years. So yeah, I don't know, but maybe it will make a comeback someday. I saw like one day on itch.io, like I guess a guy from Spain maybe made a 3D version prototype of Illusion of Gaia.
Oh my goodness, really?
Yeah, but it's like a fan game. It's not official, and it's only a short section.
Well, it's better than nothing. I'll have to look into that. What a neat game. I really remember the part where the pig ran into the fire, just like really blowing my mind. It's also that game's why I know what scurvy is. I had no idea what scurvy was until they explained it in that game. Now, anytime somebody says scurvy, I'm like, that's a long-term lack of vitamin C. Thanks, Illusion of Gaia. Game was great. Such a good soundtrack too.
Yeah.
God, it's been years since I've played it. I've never bothered emulating it on anything, and I have my copy sitting right over there. But I don't spend a lot of time actually spending hours in front of my Super Nintendo anymore. I'm spoiled by modern gaming and whatnot. But I really, anytime I play something like that, I think, well, as soon as I fire this up, they're going to announce that they're releasing it on something, and then I'll have to play the first half and not to play the first half of it again when it comes on a new platform, which I was sure, like I said before, I just recently replayed Samus Returns on 3DS, and I was sure the moment I started playing it, Nintendo would be like, Samus Returns HD coming out on Switch. I'm like, fine, I'll play the beginning again. Should have done this a year ago.
Yeah.
Well, no, go ahead.
No, I was just saying, like, the rumor says that the studio who made the Samus Return 3DS version are working on a Metroid Fusion remake. So that's what the game on 3DS hints at the end. So
Fusion remake. That's the one that needs it the most next. I know there's also been lots of rumors about a Super Metroid remake, and that one scares me because Super Metroid is just about perfect the way it is.
Yeah.
But Fusion is such a cool game, but it's got that very Game Boy Advance sound in particular is so very crunchy. Everything about GBA is so crunchy. And after playing Samus Returns, because I'm showing them my son. I have a 7-year-old son, and I'm introducing him to Metroid now. And instead of showing him the NES and Game Boy originals for this one, I decided he would probably get more out of watching, spending time with the remakes, right? Because Zero Mission is just so good. And so we went through Zero Mission on the Wii U Virtual Console, and even blown up, that game looks great. Like even with the really chunky pixels of the Game Boy Advance, it still looks great. But the sound is all this really amazing compositions that's somewhat hampered by the Game Boy Advance because it's like it sounds like a lower fidelity Super Nintendo, whereas so that the original Game Boy or Game Boy Color is its own instrument, and it sounds, it sings in its own way. But when you're playing something like the Game Boy Advance, it really feels like it's this really great stuff that's being held back by this little bit of technology. And if you could just clear that up, it would just really, really shine. And, the screen real estate's also an issue with GBA games because the screen was shaped so flippin' weird. But regardless, we moved on to Samus Returns and he loved that. And now we're halfway through Super Metroid, and then we're going to play Fusion. And if he's still with me, then we're going to jump into a Prime and take it from there.
Yeah. But that's a long journey. But Metroid games are great, and I hope we will get one on the Switch soon.
Fingers crossed. Metroid Prime 4 was announced, 30 years ago or something?
Yes, about that.
Yeah.
Feels like it. Feels like forever.
But yeah, the Game Boy. But I still think the Game Boy Advance is great, and that's why it's the path I choose for my next game. But because earlier I talked about Illusion of Gaia and as a reference, but Golden Sun is also one I really take inspiration into.
Yes, the Game Boy Advance.
Love Golden Sun so much.
Marvelous system. Marvelous system. I have my weird issues with the sound, but man, I had so much fun with the GBA. Just an insane amount of fun with that thing. So I don't know how much you can or can't tell us about whatever the project you're working on next, but are you aiming for the same level of, that was another question I wrote down. So here's a 2-part question. Are you aiming for the same level of authenticity with Game Boy Advance as you were with Tako and original Game Boy, like right down to the way it feels, looks, and sounds. And follow-up question, the GBA was like there was a half step with the Game Boy Color between the Game Boy and the Game Boy Advance. Is there any possibility of a Tako DX that's in full color?
Yeah, so about that, about the Game Boy Advance, I really want to do justice like I did for the Game Boy with Tako. Mm-hmm. So I really wanted to play, sound, and feel. Maybe not sound, but play and feel like a Game Boy Advance game. So that's what, like, I have the Game Boy Advance resolution and controls the scheme already. Mm-hmm. So that's what I'm aiming to do. But you'll see. I'll send you gifts after that, because I started sharing a bit on my Patreon and stuff. But yeah, otherwise for the Game Boy Color, I tried to do that, but as I said, Tako was started back when I was 19, and the code is very it's hard to work with. So I tried, like, that's why I renamed the game Definitive Edition and not DX, because DX would have been better. But as I didn't do a Game Boy Color mode, mm-hmm. I thought it would be misleading. So it's Definitive Edition. But yeah, it would be too many. Like, I want to release the game again, soon. And if I wanted to make a full Game Boy Color mode, I would have to make it would take a lot of time, because as it was conceived with Game Boy constraint, like, there is a lot of sprite reuse in the game. Yeah. So I would have to do all sprite variation and replace it by hand in all the map, tile by tile. So it will take, and as the game is huge, like. There are more than 100 maps in it, so it will be a lot of work. And I want to work on the new game. So, like, I spent 7 years now on Tako, so if I can move on, it's great too. So, yeah, but that's why I added the auto palette mode. So at least now the palette change depending on the level and turn and stuff. So at least now there is more variation. You are not you don't have to change the palette by yourself. You still
almost
can,
like playing on it. Almost like playing on a Super Game Boy, like where the Super Game Boy Enhanced game would be.
Yes, like Pokemon Yellow
or Donkey Kong. So, what color is Tako? Like the actual character, what color is he in your mind?
He's green.
He's green. Oh, cool.
Yeah, like Link.
Nice. Okay. That's good. That's good. I'm just going to file that away in my head. See, every time I see Octopus, especially an octopus out like that, I always default to red because of Octorocks. And I always just keep imagining him as a bright red Octorock looking dude, but green. Now that it's filed away in my head.
Yeah, he's green. Like, there are red octopus in the game, but the main octopus character are not red. Tako is green, the princess is blue, and the Tako's brother is more dark.
Okay. What's Tako's brother's name?
Bako, because it's bad Tako, but he's not bad, but because there is no real bad guy in the game. But yeah.
That's interesting to see. Like I said, I only got like 6 hours in, and I feel like there was that one character that was being kind of a jerk. Like, wasn't there some character that was like following me around? And oh my god, I'm so lost on the story. I remember there being some.
Yes, there are characters following you around, and there are characters that appear as bad. But the whole point of the game is, like, the world in itself is messed up. So people, depending on which side you are in the right place. So there is no real bad guy. The world is bad. So then there are characters in it trying to make a difference. So that's what the story is about. And Tako is kind of the middle of the two worlds and try to make them back together.
I like that about it. I like Tako as a character. I like the fact that he sings and stuff. Yeah, I love the cute little dance he does when you reach a door at the end of a stage and whatnot. I just like the overall sense of character in the game. It's got a very interesting sense of joy to it, but is also, it's such a weird thing that you kind of nailed, was this feel of a super simple Game Boy game, but also this story that's very JRPG. That's deceptively deep, and it's a unique experience. And I'm really looking forward to the patch because I respect the game tremendously, and I'm looking forward to enjoying it more the second time around.
Thanks, and I really hope more people can enjoy the story now, because that really was the goal when making the game, was telling the story, and it was kind of frustrating to see people not being able to enjoy it because the game was too difficult. Mm-hmm. So I really hope now it will be better, and so more people can reach the end and see all the things I put into it.
Well, no spoilers, because I didn't reach the end either, so... Well, Dan, do you have any more questions?
No, I'm good. I mean, like, if we start going down other rabbit holes, we'll be here for another 2 hours, and it is very late in France.
Yeah.
And we don't want to be those guys.
So we'll just leave you with the question that we ask every guest that comes on the show. It's a very important question. What bread is the best bread?
Well, I'm in France, so we know a lot about bread.
I figured it would be a very good question for you.
But I will say baguette.
Okay. Fair enough. Very good answer. Well, thank you very much for joining us. I'll post links to your Twitter or whatever so we can follow your progress. And I look forward to hearing more about Tako Definitive Edition. Is there any ideas when we're going to learn more about any of this stuff?
Well, the game will just start the Nintendo submission process like this week, hopefully. but then, yeah, I hope we can announce it and like make the Steam page public soon and make a trailer and stuff. So we want to release the game in spring, so hopefully soon.
Very cool.
So stay tuned, as we say.
Yeah, let us know. We will be shameless shills for you.
Yes.
Thanks.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us.
Very cheap.
Yes, we're very cheap.
That's right.
Free.
Free is pretty goddamn cheap.
Thank you. Well, thanks for having me, and hope you have a nice rest of the day, because for me it's already 2 a.m. so I guess I go to sleep.
Yeah, sweet dreams.
Yeah, sweet dreams. Thanks for spending your evening with us.
Thank you.
Thanks, man.
All right, well, that wraps up our interview with Kris, and what a nice gentleman.
What a lovely French gentleman.
And I mean, French guy calling out baguettes as the best bread.
It really, as we do these interviews with people in other countries, Kris, it really just highlights to me that old joke of, what do you call somebody who speaks 2 languages? Bilingual. What do you call somebody who speaks 1 language? American. We can't speak French or German or Dutch. Or what the fuck does Ollie speak in addition to... He speaks French too, right?
He speaks everything. I'm pretty sure he's
French and Gaelic and all types of shit.
He's basically Cypher from the X-Men, except he's still alive.
What do we speak? English. Kinda. A little bit.
I took 4 years of Spanish in high school, and I didn't make it past Spanish 2. I'm bad at this.
Our language is so stupid. We say it differently depending on the state that you're in. Oh my God. It's the worst. Anyway, he was lovely. It was a lovely interview. What a way to celebrate our 350th episode. No, the idea that we had earlier, Kris, so check this out, guys. Next week, we are going to celebrate, for real, properly, our 350th episode of the Stone Age Gamer podcast. And what Kris and I are going to do is each one of us is going to come up with a list of 350 of our top games. And we're just going to read them at the same time to you. And we're going to see how many games we match up on. It's a fun little game that we're going to play, and it's going to be great. We're going to do it in stereo, so you can like flip back and forth on your fucking equalizer. Be like, I want to hear Dan now, and now Kris, and now Dan. It's going to be amazing. I love this plan.
And that's our show. Is he lying? Find out next week. when we celebrate our landmark 351st episode of the Stone Age Gamer Podcast. Oh, good Lord.
I love this show.
We're on most social media platforms, and if you want to get in touch with us, we aren't very difficult to find. All it takes is a quick look at our show notes, and you'll see links to our social media accounts, as well as all manner of other fun stuff, like a link to our namesake, StoneAgeGamer.com, the Geekade Patreon, which helps keep this show running week after week, and more useful links than you can shake a joystick at. This show's theme song, Squared Roots, was written by Banjo Guy Ollie. You can learn all about his wonderful music and more by following the link to his YouTube channel, also in the show notes. You know, this morning, I had a tough morning, because my daughter came in and harassed the dog, as she does first thing every single morning, no matter how many times we tell her not to. And then when the dog inevitably snaps at her because she's being molested by a 4-year-old,
sure.
She then throws a giant hissy fit and starts crying. And, well, I'm up now! And then I had to make enchiladas. I had to make enchiladas for my lunch this week, which meant I had to go to the store and buy chicken because I didn't buy chicken beforehand. And then I came back, and there was all sorts of other crap going on with the school, and I missed my morning Banjo Guy Ollie stream, Banjo Radio, and I'm very bummed about it.
That's terrible.
I'm looking forward to getting back in the swing of things tomorrow. It's the same songs every day, and I don't care. It's just really fun. Anyway, finally, as always, we'd like to thank our intrepid editor, Evan, for not editing that out, and for making this show listenable for all you folks. And we'd like to thank all you folks for listening in the first place. That's it, everybody. On behalf of Dan and myself, keep playing games.